Hello everyone, I hope you all are doing well. Um, Today we are going to learn about a very inspiring lesson of English Literature class 10th. But before we go to the detailed reading of the lesson, I just want to ask, what are the qualities of a gentleman? As you all know, this COVID 19 pandemic has affected the entire world very badly and very adversely. What a gentleman is supposed to do if he has lost his job or his family member. Whether the gentleman should wallow in self pity and always cry, 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 and don't try, or he should make continuous effort to improve his life for the better. I'm sure the option second will be chosen by most of us, that is to work hard to make our lives better. And one such story we are going to read about the two gentlemen who are working hard to make their life better. And let us take a pictorial tour how and get the better understanding of what happens in the story. So these are the two gentlemen of Verona, and the story is written by A.J. Cronin. This character is known as his name is Nicholas, who is 13 years old, and he is Jacopo, and they both are brothers, and he is the younger one, and Nicholas is the elder one. So the story is written by A.J. Cronin, who was basically a doctor by practice, but once upon a time he fell ill and he was hospitalized. While he was getting bored in the hospital, he started writing, and after his writing got published, one of his novel became a super hit, and he took writing as a career and quit the medicine. So Verona is a beautiful city located at the foothills of Alps mountain, and that is in Europe. And this city draws several global attraction because of the historic monument it possesses. It has got beautiful buildings and sites. One will be astonished to see them. And one such historic monument is Tomb of Juliet, which is being referred to the story. Now, the story is written in the times of World War II, when Germans had attacked Italy and Verona, obviously. So they have heavily bombed Verona and other states, of course. But during that time, many people lost their jobs and they lost their houses. The houses got burnt and destroyed, and they were struggling for basic necessities of like food, shelter, and they would do anything to survive. There were two such boys known as Nicholas and Jacob, as we already know, and the author calls them gentlemen, irrespective of their poor condition. And obviously one is gentleman because of their qualities, their inherent abilities, how they, if they are generous or kind, not by the money or the car they own, right? So these are the two boys, and they wear, in appearance they are like very shabby, they wear very old clothes. They work so hard, they sleep on the pavement, they sell strawberries, and they do sell newspaper till late in the night, and they do all of this. Why? Because they have a sister who is ailing from a severe illness called spinal tuberculosis, and the charges of the treatment are very, very heavy. But is irrespective of how their financial condition was, they worked really very hard. They did everything. They used to take tourists to give a tour of Verona city, and they worked really hard. They every day they used to eat the same food, black bread and figs. They did not get bored, and they did not bother how will other people think of them. They kept on doing the hard work, and whatever they saved, the money they spent for their sister's best treatment. They had only one sister, and they did all they could to save her life, as you can see in the picture. Now, the war and the demise of the father, and since they lost their house, all of these bad things which occurred to them did not break their spirit. And that's the spirit which we all should have in our difficult times, having a belief and selflessness to work for others, a sacrifice for our loving ones, for the dear ones, and help each other to and grow together, live together. As I say, Try, but don't cry. Now let us go into the detailed reading of the lesson. Uh, Now let's see what happens in the story. As we drove through the foothills of Alps, two small boys stopped us on the outskirts of Verona. The narrator describes about two boys he met on the foothills of Alps, great mountain range of Europe, while on his journey to Verona, that is a city in the Italy. He shrugged. They were selling wild strawberry. Don't buy, warned Luigi, our cautious driver. You will get fruit much better in Verona. Besides these boys, he shrugged his shoulders to convey his disapproval of their shabby appearance. Luigi, the driver of the narrator, clearly suggested the narrator not to buy the strawberries from those boys as they were dressed poorly and unhygienic. Also, he suggested that better quality fruits are available in the town. One boy had on a worn jersey and cut off khaki pants, the other a shortened army tunic gathered in loose folds about his skinny frame. Yet, gazing at the two little figures with their brown skins, tangled hair, and dark, earnest eyes, we felt ourselves strangely attracted. Despite the strong disapproval from Luigi, the narrator and his companion continued to stare at those two young boys as they somehow felt attracted to them. Narrator also describes the physical appearance of the two boys, that one was slim while both of them had uncombed hair and brown skin. Their eyes were sincere and serious, which attracted the attention of the travelers. My companion spoke to the boys, discovered that they were brothers. Nicola, the elder, was 13. Jacopo, who barely come up to the door handle of the car, was nearly 12. We bought their basket and then set off toward town. Narrator's companion talked to the boys and he came to know that they were brothers. They bought the biggest basket of strawberries from the brothers, and his companion and narrator showed a good and helpful gesture. Next morning, coming out of our hotel, we saw our friends bent over shoe shine boxes beside the fountain in the public square, doing a brisk business. We watched for a few moments, then as trade slackened, we went over, they greeted us with friendly faces. Now what happens? The narrator here talks about the two young boys by addressing them as friends, a repeated good gesture. The next morning, narrator finds the two young boys shining shoes in a very fast and quick manner. When the rush on their shoe shine box slowed down, the boys greeted them with friendly faces as they recalled that these were the same travelers who bought the biggest basket of strawberries yesterday. I thought you picked fruit for a living, I said. We do many things, sir, said Nicola. Narrator asked the boys that he thought that he only picked fruits for a living, on which young boys replied that they did every job with a serious face and that they had multiple sources of income to meet their needs. He glanced at us hopefully. Often we show visitors through the town to Juliet's tomb and other places of interest. All right, I smiled. You take us along. Now this para explains, noticing the good gesture of travelers, the young boy looked at them hopefully and tells them they work as a tourist guide and show visitors around the town of Verona. They show them places of tourist interest like Juliet's tomb from the famous play Romeo and Juliet, written by Shakespeare, on which the travelers smiled and asked them to be their guide. Now next, as we made the rounds, my interest was again provoked by their remarkable demeanor. They were childish enough and in many ways quite artless. Jacopo was lively as squirrel and Nicola smile was steady and engaging. Yet in both these boyish faces there was a seriousness which was far beyond their years. Now this paragraph explains that the author noticed their appearance as childish, simple and innocent. Here the author uses a simile and compares Jacopo to squirrel, as he feels that the little boy is full of life and energy like a squirrel. On the other hand, Nicola was serious and mature. The narrator draws a comparison between the two boys. The younger one, Jacopo, is childish, lively, while the elder one, Nicola, is serious and mature. Even the boys had a childish face. There was a seriousness in their eyes which was way beyond their age of 12-13 years, which tells that they are burdened with lots of responsibilities and difficulty of life at such a small age. Next paragraph. If we wanted a pack of American cigarettes or seats for the opera or the name of a good restaurant, Nicola and Jacopo could be relied upon to satisfy our needs. What struck one most was their willingness to work. During these summer days under the hot sun, they shined shoes, sold fruit, hogged newspaper, conducted tourists round the town, and ran errands. This shows that narrator trusts the innocent boys with their suggestions and advices and is amazed to see their desires to do work. And the paragraph also describes the busy routine and variety of work they do. Hogged newspapers mean to sell newspaper by calling out loud on the street. One night we came upon them in the windy and deserted square, resting on the stone pavement beneath the lights. Nicola sat uptight, tired. A bundle of unsold newspaper lay at his feet. Jacopo, his head resting upon his brother's shoulder, was asleep. It was nearly midnight. This paragraph actually illustrates that one night after a tiring day, the narrator saw the boys resting on the stone pavement with a bundle of newspaper in an isolated space which had got no people. "Why are you so late, Nicola?" "Waiting for the last bus from Padua. We shall sell all our newspaper when it comes in." "Must you work so hard? You both look rather tired." "We are not complaining, sir." This conversation between Nicola and Jacopo and the narrator explains the dedication and their willingness to work even after a full working day. It shows the hope they hold to gain the maximum of what they can. When inquired, Nicola immediately clarified that he had absolutely no problem in working this late despite being tired. Now next paragraph. "But next morning when I went over to the fountain to have my shoes shined, I said, 'Nicola, the way you and Jacopo work, you must earn quite a bit. You spend nothing on the clothes, you eat little enough. When I see you have a meal, it's usually black bread and figs. Tell me, what do you do with your money?' He colored deeply under his sunburn, then grew pale, and he looked to the ground. 'You must be saving up to immigrate to America,' I suggested. He looked at me sideways, spoke with an effort. 'We should greatly like to go to the States, but here at present we have other plans.' 'What plans?' He smiled uncomfortably. 'Just plans, sir,' he answered in a very low voice. This paragraph says, on seeing them working so hard, yet dressed shabbily and eating relatively lower nutritious meal, the narrator asked Nicola, 'You must earn quite a bit. Where do you spend your money?' This question initially made them blush, but after the initial blush, Nicola had an afterthought which made him sad and depressed. The blush on his face disappeared, and all of a sudden, and it became pale as he got reminded of his problems and difficulty of life. The narrator sarcastically asked if he is saving to move to America. On being asked about this, he said he got different plans, but he did not want to share his problems. 'Well,' I said, 'we are leaving on Monday. Is there anything I can do for you before we go?' This was another good gesture by the narrator, as he wanted to help the premature gentlemen, Nicola and Jacopo. Nicola shook his head, but suddenly Jacopo said, 'Sir,' he burst out, 'every Sunday we make a visit to the country, to Poleta, 30 kilometers from here. Usually we hire bicycles, but tomorrow, since you are so kind, you might send us in your car.' I had already told Luigi he might have the Sunday off. 'However,' I answered, I'll drive you out myself.' Despite the mild refusal by his brother, Jacopo, out of innocence, asked if the narrator could help them to get to Poleta in his car. This shows the contrast between the behavior of the two brothers, one showing maturity while the other showed innocence and childishness, on which the narrator agreed. Despite the fact the driver was unavailable, another example of his kindness. There was a pause. Nicola was glaring at his younger brother in vexation. 'We could not think of troubling you, sir.' 'It won't be any trouble.' He bit his lip, then in rather put out tone, and he said, 'Very well.' Nicola gave an annoying look to Jacopo and asked the narrator not to worry for them. But the narrator insisted. Nicola was not comfortable with his plan, as he did not like taking help and sympathy. Next paragraph says, the following afternoon, we drove to the tiny village set high upon the hillside. I imagined that our destination would be some humble dwellings, but directed by Jacopo, we drew up a large red roofed villa surrounded by a high stone wall. I could scarcely believe my eyes, and before I could recover breath, my two passengers had leaped from the car. We shall not be long, sir, perhaps only an hour. Maybe you would like to go to the cafe in a village for a drink. They disappeared beyond the corner of the wall. Now, this paragraph says that the narrator had thought that boys would be heading to some shabby huts or small houses, according to the conditions in which they lived and worked hard in Verona. He was shocked to see that the destination in the village of Puleta was a large villa. Narrator was amazed to see the large villa. By the time he could recover from the shock, the boys had jumped out of the car, rushed inside the villa as they did not want the narrator to know where they were going, and suddenly they disappeared. Next paragraph, after a few minutes, I followed. I found a grilled side entrance and determinedly rang the bell. A pleasant looking woman with steel rimmed spectacles appeared. I blinked as I saw that she was dressed in white uniform of a trained nurse. Upon entering the villa, the bell was answered by a nurse, says this paragraph. He realized that it had been converted to a hospital. I just brought two small boys here, says the narrator. Ah, yes, her face lit up. She opened the door to admit me, Nicola and Jacopo. And the paragraph continues. This paragraph says, upon hearing Nicola and Jacopo, the nurse smiled, which tells us that she knows them really well, and she took the narrator through an entrance lobby in the hospital to a small room. The next paragraph explains that the boys were visiting their sister. The girl was well dressed. There was a flower vase on the table, which was not essential for living, which tells us how much she was loved by the brother, along with a dish of fruits and books, which tells us that how well those two gentlemen took care of their sister. She was living in no shortage, which is in opposite of how those two boys, Nicola and Jacopo, lived their life so miserably. We are seeing this story unfolding from the eyes of the narrator, and in the next paragraph, the narrator refused to go in, as he thought he would disturb the family time. But he now really started respecting the two boys. He wanted to know everything about them, so he begged the nurse to tell her. The nurse told the family history of these two boys, that their mother died early in their life. Their father was a well-known singer, but became a victim of the early war. They got homeless as their home got destroyed and suffered starvation and the cold winter. She also tells him that at that time Lucia, their sister, had been training to be a singer. And the next paragraph suggests that family struggled for life. They lived in the shelter made of rugs and broken bricks. The boys hated Germans as they were the reason for their miserable life. And after the war, they got back to their sister, who was suffering from such deadly disease, spinal tuberculosis, which was another shock to these poor kids. Despite facing so many problems in their early life, the boys did not lose hope. The brothers' positive approach and determination to get their sisters cured had helped the staff treat her well. The nurse explained the helpless state of the hospital, that there is less availability of the food, therefore they could not treat her for free, and they had to charge a fee to keep things going. The nurse was even shocked as so less work was available in Verona. Still, the boys manages to pay the fee, on which the narrator agreed, as he actually knew the boys really worked hard to get the money for their sister's treatment. The narrator was touched by the love and devotion with which the boys worked for their sister. Hardships and sadness had not deterred them. The narrator had understood their character really well, and he knew they won't like being sympathized. Therefore, he did not confront the boys. They did not bother about their needs, but worked so hard to provide the best to her. This showed their selflessness. The narrator felt such a humble youth gives our society a hope for better tomorrow. In such times of war, weapons and hatred, still there is a hope for humanity. Jacopo and Nicholas quietly are example and epitome of humanity. I hope you all have enjoyed the story of Nicholas and Jacopo. This story provides a ray of hope for humanity. So, and how Nicholas and Jacopo remained selfless and resilient throughout the difficult situation of life. It is a glaring example of how we should be not deterred by any difficulty of our life, and we should also keep doing our best no matter what life presents us with. That's all for today. Thank you.